artists on those platforms?
Well, I think that each project is its own organism, and it needs to be watered and fed and loved differently, right? So if I look at my slate, actually the majority of the projects I have coming up are studio projects. So I'm producing the remake of Cleopatra Jones at Warner Brothers. I'm doing the Reginald Lewis biopic with Kevin Wilmot writing that script, who wrote Black Klansman. I'm producing a
What studio is that?
That's we're financing that independently.
Okay.
Because that's that's going to be a really big project. So I hope to get a bidding war right. I've got the Jay Dilla biopic set up at Amazon. I've got like several other things all over town, right? And those projects were set up. Sometimes like you'll get a submission or the IP will be like something that's so in the zeitgeist that it allows you to go out and maybe like partner with the writer or attach an actor early. And by and large, most of these studio executives are going to be familiar with the story and they're going to want to raise their hand, right? So in that instance, my preference is usually to go like that route. If a story comes to me and it's more like intimate in its origin, right, or more personal from the filmmaker or writer's perspective, then I'm going to approach that a little bit differently. I think that there's an instinct to try to like go partner with organizations and distributors who don't really care about you as a human being or like the thing you're making. That they like your content is disposable to them, and I can kind of feel like communally rejection of that, right? So we need to start, if something is small and like personal enough, why not treat it the way like street teams used to treat mixtapes back in the day? Like you can, rather than wait 2 years to go set your stuff up on Netflix, put it on YouTube, go print out some cards, post them on fucking, excuse my language, post them on,
Can we curse Mabasa?
I don't need to curse, so that slipped out. The street team got me excited. I felt like the Locks for a second. But like, put it on lampposts and stoplights and drop cards off in coffee shops and just make people curious. Do a QR code. Just find ways for people to engage with your thing, and the word will spread. And like one thing I know to be true, traditionally, like without fail, if enough people are talking about a thing and it's good, the sharks will find it because they smell blood in the water, right? And by the sharks, I mean the agents, the managers. Those are transactional relationships. They're not your friends. In the best case scenario, they'll be your friends, but they're there to commission what you're bringing to the table. And as long as that money train is on the tracks, everyone's happy. So that goes for studio executives, so on and so forth, right? Lawyers, whatever. But just make good things and don't be too precious about showing them to people. It's like, the music industry, what's happening in the film industry was kind of like foreshadowed by what's happening in the music industry in many ways, like on a business level, right? But people, if you and I made a song today, chances are we could share it with everybody in this room by 5 p.m. tomorrow if we mix it and master it and whatever. So to bring it full circle, each project is different. But I don't consider myself like an indie producer. I just consider myself a champion of like artistic integrity and vision.
So it's mindset, right? You don't have to think, to your point, of yourselves as indie producers, just producers.
Right.
Okay. I know you want to say something.
Yeah, I wanted to add. I wanted to add what he was saying in reference to the marketing scenario as far as the film is concerned. So, say you have a project and you can't get to name actors or what have you. There's a whole lot of influencers out here that are super popular, right? And to his word, you can put a project together and you don't have to necessarily worry about focusing on getting distribution. You can distribute it yourself, right? So even today, like with, for example, AMC, you can submit your own project and have it distributed independently. For example, there's a buddy of mine was one of the EPs for Hip Hop Love Story, and that's exactly what they did. They put it out themselves. But coming back to influencers, say you're going to shoot your film, you put, I'm just, just saying Jack Frost in it, he's like super popular in Philadelphia, right? So you put him in your film and then you take it to Philly. AMC theater or whatever theater, and because he's super popular, you know, you're gonna have a line outside, you know, coming to your film. So it's many different ways of skinning the cat, or if you're vegan, skinning the carrot. You know.
Can I add something to that?
Yes, please.
He said something that was so funny. Me and my team, we was just talking about it. A lot of producers these days, and a lot of film creators, they think they're too good to hand out the flyers. They're too good to do the work. They have to have this persona or this image, or I'm the producer, whatever. They're too scared to walk up to somebody, "Oh, this is my movie, come check me out." You know, I think that society has done that. For us, with distributing, what we look for, and to go off of what y'all was saying, we look at the data. Sometimes we don't even look at the film, the script. We don't look at the sizzle reel. We just look at the data. The genre, what type of film it is, how many followers, how many the influence of the cast, who's attached to it. Can we leverage that? And then we put it into some system to see how much money we can make off of it based off of that data. So if a film creator puts together a package that has data attached to it and have numbers attached to it, meaning my film, I got some influencers, we have a 5 million people reach in social media altogether. We're shooting it in Georgia where there's a 35% tax credit. You know, so you're coming with so much information and so much data, we don't even have to think about, are we gonna buy it or distribute it? It just fits into the system. What a lot of film creators do is they come with an idea and that's it.
And that's it?
That's
the
it.
idea? Okay.
Just the idea.
Yeah, that he's telling you that's not gonna work. More than the idea. Yes, please, Jack.
Hi. I'd love to speak to that because at the production company, I kind of feel like I've learned a lot on the studio side, but I'm working, and I say indie producer because of budgets under a certain amount. And I do that same formula, like when filmmakers or writers send me a project, I'm like, everybody has a screenplay, so what? Like for me, it's, you know, looking at the project and thinking the genre, the marketability, what is the cast, it's like he was saying, social media influencers or working actors, and what's that market value, you know, out in the marketplace. And then I can kind of gauge like where we are with the budget, because this is all private equity money, and so there's no collateral on the table. Like my whole thing is mitigating risk for an investor coming in to shoot a project, especially under a certain amount. There's really no collateral, no MG, none of that going on, right? Usually I would like an MG, but a lot of the filmmakers, you know, and I want to say this, if you can bring a little bit to the table, like we don't mind financing you 100%, but if you could come to the table with like some equity, or you have locations, or you have relationships, or whatever it is, you bring value to the table. And so for me, I'd like to shoot like 10 small micro projects a year and meet different filmmakers and travel all over the country. For me, as opposed to like doing a bigger budget, that's just the space I'm in, because I come from that as an actress and a filmmaker.
What is a micro budget to you?
So for me, a micro budget, if there's no collateral on the table, I would not recommend anything over $250. I mean, you know, like if you put a certain face in it, $250, $350K with no, you know, like no distribution up front, you can kind of look at the cast and go, okay, we could make our money back with this project and get the investors' money and ROI and all of that. So for me, but an indie project could be up to 10 million. You know?
I'm talking
Yeah.
for you.
Oh yeah, for me, if we're gonna have an equity investor come, I wouldn't want to do like over 250K for a feature film, and I think you can make a great project for 250. You know, contained, and that's why we're doing horror, contained project. You're doing good. And then, like I said, some states don't have a minimum spend, so you can get those tax credits back on something as low as $250.
Okay.
And I want to add to what Jacqueline is saying. And once again, I come back to relationships, because when we're talking about individuals that want to spend their money, it's different from going to a financial institute spending their money. So it's really just about, relationships, right? So like Jack said, most people, they don't want to do trust films. Everybody's about collateral. They want to make sure that they can make their money back. So when you create these relationships, and over time, you'll find people that they'll see your track record or what have you, and they will start to invest in you, right? So like she's talking about a fund that we have now with a host of people who decided to, put their money into these small budget projects, and that came about because of relationships. So I just wanted to add that in there.
Just letting y'all know too, there's a lot of programs out there for filmmakers that y'all don't know about. At the level where I'm at, we just secured a deal with the state of California to do 80% guarantee on all films.
Oh wow.
Anybody can get it.
What program is that? You want to share it?
It's with NorCal.
Okay.
Everybody Google that, look them up. If you can get in touch with NorCal, if you can set your company up, if you can have the right qualifications, you can get with NorCal. They give 80% guarantee on all films that you do. So if you have 80% guarantee on debt financing,
Right. Okay.
it's only on debt financing.
Gotcha.
It's on debt financing. And then if you have the tax credit from the state or from the city or where you're shooting it, that's 100% guaranteed. You take that to an investor, you take that to an institution, they fund any film, and they fund up to $5 million.
Nice.
So it's guaranteed up to $5 million on projects. So that's a little hack right there. Like literally, our company, we just got approved. We have a fund ourselves that we have that 80% guarantee on there. We take all the risk away. Also, there's companies such as Film Hedge.
Right.
You work with John? Yeah, John's my guy. Yeah, John's my guy. We just got that too. Another company called Bonded.
Yeah.
Bonded, Film Hedge. So all those companies like that, those companies, they're actually, the debt financing is kind of the way to go as an independent. And don't let them say that your film budget is too small. There's no too small budget. Do what you can do at your level. Don't let them push you into getting in debt for $2 million, $3 million when you know you can do it for $500,000.
Right.
Jamani, have you used any of those that he's speaking about? I know you have been a lot in the Hollywood system, but
I have not,
okay.
but I'm going to educate myself for sure.
So
Okay.
what I will say about debt financing, most of these institutions is like different tiers. So most of these institutions, when dealing with debt, they want the film to be bonded, right? So for that, if the film is bonded, it usually has to be like a $3 million film, right?
Does everyone know what it means to have a film be bonded? People shaking their heads no.
Go ahead.
I was saying, with Film Hedge is the company we work with as well, that you mentioned. Their model is 3 to 15 million, and you have to be bonded. So for me, that comfortable space, like I said, is like under 500K on the indie side, but then on the other side, I mean, he just closed funding, quite a bit of funding on the project that's premiering at South by Southwest, and that was with John's company. So it's twofold.
Can you explain though what bonded is? Because everyone here doesn't know what it means to have a film be bonded.
Okay, it's debt funded financing, completion bond. So it's just like insurance. So you go get regular insurance on yourself or a car or something like that. When you have a film project, you have insurance that you're going to complete the insurance. There's certain people that can get it done. You can probably Google it and find a production company or a partner. Even if you have to give them maybe 1 point on the project just for them to do the paperwork and get you that completion bond. So when you have the completion bond, you have the tax credit. And now with the new system that we're in, with the 80%, it's like literally there's no way you can lose. People like John roll over when you bring all of those type of things and fit that criteria,
But with the debt financing, again, your budget has to be a certain level. Usually, you have to have collateral tied to it, and they do cash flow that tax rebate money, or you file your tax incentive for their tax incentives, and you can get all of that. But again, you know, those are bigger budgets with, you know, things attached to it, elements that create that MG for you.
And for those smaller projects, like she stated, you know, tax rebates in certain states, you can get tax rebates. And the good thing about tax rebates is that, you know, you set it up where you get the tax incentive and you're not going to get the money right away. It's going to take like 60 to 90 days. You know, you can have something, you can come to someone like me and I can get you the money in advance, right? So that you can do what you need to do. So you don't have to do a $3 million film to make money. Then you got like pre-sales. It's all different types of ways to raise funds in reference to collateral dealing with like smaller budget films. But if you're not even thinking on that level, like, man, I just wrote a script, I'm just trying to get it done. So, you, like you said, you got all of these different ways of, we all know the crowdfunding scenario. We all know we can, you know, call the family up and friends that we went to college with or what have you. You know, in today's world, you can literally make a film for like $50,000 if you do it, you know, correctly. You may not have anybody in it, it may not be union or what have you, but it can look like a quality film. So it's really just, once again, it's really about building your relationship, not only financially, but like, you know, with a tight team so that you can, you know, create something that can be your calling card. And like I said in the very beginning, I wouldn't even worry about like, oh man, how can I get this distributed or what have you. Even though you have outlets that will distribute your low budget film, you can do it yourself. You know, like Rudy Raymore, you can take it out there and make it happen yourself. Old uncle, well, he wasn't a blood uncle, but Uncle Melvin Van Peebles, you know, he was very close to him. And he was like saying, man, if you want anything done, you got to do it yourself, right? So you can make your film and you can take it to the streets. You can, you know, there's all kinds of theaters out here, and it doesn't cost a lot of money to put your film into, you know, certain local theaters. So, and in that way, you build your, you know, you build your resume with that particular film to where you get a better deal when you go try to take it to an outlet to do a streaming deal, a licensing deal, you know.
One other thing, just a quick hack, another hack. I was just talking to him about a 181. So if you do have an investor or have somebody, look up a 181. It's where they can multiply. I think it's up to 6 times the amount of money that you invest. So if I invest $100,000 into one project and I do it underneath of the tax code 181, they can write off up to $600,000 off on their taxes for the next year. So investors like those little hacks and those things so that they can actually make money and also reserve in the risk of putting that film out. So that's another one to do.
This is a lot of information.
I'm sorry. So he just mentioned 181. And it doesn't have to be a $5 million film. You know, you do a project, you do it for 60,000, let's say 100,000, but you need some finishing funds, right? As long as you did it in the States, as long as you did it in a particular year or what have you, you know, you can probably get, you know, 10% of what your budget is, you know, for finishing funds through the 181, right? The only thing with that though is they own your IP, right? You know, for their tax purposes, they actually own the IP until you pay them back. You know, that 10% until you pay them back. So there's many different ways to skin that carrot.
No problem. Thank you. This is great information. I'm going to suggest, since my boss is in the room, that next year have a financing masterclass so that they can spend hours talking about it and really getting into the nitty gritty of it, because I know this is a lot of information to throw. But I do want to ask one question, and I've been thinking a lot about, I just came from another festival up in Santa Barbara, and I've just been thinking about the attack on DEI and how that is going to funnel down into storytelling. Imagine a world where you never heard the voice of Issa Rae. Imagine a world where you never heard the voice of Ryan Coogler, right? We can't imagine that because this type of attack on DEI has not happened, I don't think, in our lifetimes, right? So with that happening and thinking about the street team that, you know, what is one of the most, and I'll start with you, Jelani, what is one of the most innovative marketing strategies you've seen from a filmmaker that ended up successful, whether that was distribution, whether that was, nomination for an award, or, what, and I'm gonna go down the line with that. Start with you, Lonnie.
Well, wow, I didn't have time to think about a case study, but it's off the top of my head, right? I think you should treat your career like a career. And I think a lot of people are in a rush to like find whatever they think success is, because I think once you do find whatever that you're searching for, you realize that it wasn't really what you needed. But a constant trait of sustained success that I see amongst filmmakers is a clear style or pastiche, right? So I think about somebody like Sean Baker, who's nominated for Best Picture this year for Nora. I don't know if people saw that movie. If you go back a few projects back, like past Florida Project, he did this movie called Tangerine that he shot on an iPhone. And there weren't really any name actors in that movie. He shot it in LA, like the city was a character. And there's a consistent kind of aesthetic that filmmaker has, right? So when he's pitching for whatever project is next, whoever's on the other side of that meeting is going to be like, if we do this project with him, this is kind of what we can expect. You see it in Spike Lee's filmography, from a black and white movie like She's Gotta Have It, all the way through the Clockers or whatever, right? And so I think you really got to love the arts, because this isn't a place where you get rich fast. Those days are past. Reagan's America was in the 80s. We're not getting Terminators, and the well is kind of dried up. But the arts have always been the arts. I've been thinking about theater as a parallel to film recently, because once upon a time the theaters were the integral institutions in our society. On a local level, community theater, school theater, and each city's always had a playhouse or an opera house, and if you're in the South, you have the Chitlin Circuit, and that was local entertainment, right? And people would go on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis. And we used to be like that with the movies. Things have gotten really expensive, especially if you're going out taking kids or family members. You're looking at $100 evening just to go to the movies now.
Right.
And it's not the same in your living room. I don't care what they try to tell you. The utility of the VHS and the DVD was revisiting a familiar friend a lot of the times. You might have seen The Wood in theaters, and then it comes out on DVD, and you get a chance to engage with it over and over again. I had so many movies like that as a kid. I watched Lean on Me at my grandma's house every time I went to go see her. I knew that movie the back of my hand. If I had seen that on without seeing it on the big screen, or never saw The Lion King on the big screen, I might have a different relationship with it. So I think that for film, we're going to have to get back to a localized relationship with it. That's why the film festivals like this are so important, right? It doesn't matter where you see something, as long as when you see it, it moves you. That's how you become an evangelist. And careers are built when you get a groundswell of evangelists at scale. So if you made a movie and I told my fiance about your movie, and I told my best friend about your movie, and my mom, and they all saw it, and then they all told one person, now you look up and you have an Issa Rae-like career. Issa Rae built her career on the internet. Quinta Brunson built her career on the internet. Abbott Elementary wasn't overnight, and she wasn't getting paid a lot of money from BuzzFeed when she was doing those little skits, And so, but there was a consistency to her humor that you knew, you kind of got it. And so, we're talking about making independent films. I see so many movies where I'm you spent a lot of time and energy making something that was super forgettable. And I don't care if it costs $250,000. I've seen Barry Jenkins made Medicine for Melancholy with $10,000. That was the movie he did before Moonlight. The movie he did before he won Best Picture, he made for $10,000. And it felt like a Barry Jenkins movie. So I feel I have a lot of uncomfortable conversations with filmmakers. I'm are you sure you really want to do this? What's your vision for this? If in success, after you make this and people you're taking meetings and they're yo, what's next? Do you have your next 3 scripts ready? Have they been edited and workshopped and table read? And what's your vision for your career? Because if someone's not passionate about it, I'm not going to invest my time or energy into it. And I think about playwrights like Lorraine Hansberry. She was doing plays with her friends. you know, like,
So you're saying there's a way to market yourself as who you are as a creative versus the way you market each individual project that you do?
exactly. It's no
Okay.
different than a fine artist or a musician. It's the arts, right? Who are you as an artist? Because that's going to make me want to revisit your art and spread the word.
And don't go broke. You can do it for much less than whatever is in
For
your
sure.
budget.
For sure.
Thank you.
I want to add to that. You mentioned Issa Rae. So I've had the opportunity of being one of her good friends and mentors in the past. So I remember a 22, 23-year-old Issa Rae, where I was actually trying to help her get a deal. She did a web series before it was even popular, centered around the school that she went to. I forget the name of her school that she went to. And she wouldn't give up. Repetition. I remember when she moved back to LA from New York, and she was a little disgruntled because certain things wasn't working out. And then she was focusing. She did a web series showcasing her brother, like a little rap group or what have you. And then she decided that she wanted to do her Awkward Black Girl. It was supposed to be an animation. So at that time, we didn't have the technology that we have today. So she was like, you know what? I'm gonna just use regular people or what have you. And she basically used a new form called Kickstarter at the time. And it was out for a short period of time, but it wasn't a lot of black people using it, and surely not like young black girls using it. And she raised, I think, like $30,000, not that much, $60,000. And because of that, she was at the time, she was like, I think like 26. She raised $60,000. She got like $2 million worth of PR time for like a year and a half, right? So it was really about repetition, because I tell you, when I say she was a little disgruntled, like, oh, it's not gonna work, or I don't know, you know, but she didn't give up. She kept going at it, she kept going at it, she kept going at it, and she manifested it. And you're gonna get told no a lot. You know, when she got her television deal, was that HBO? That was HBO, right? She had her first little deal. They wasn't even looking at her. She was like doing her thing. It wasn't until she sold, that book sold, you know, New York's bestseller, that they came back around and gave her a deal. So stay with it, you know, stay with it. If you're really serious about being a filmmaker or whatever, you know, your passion is, but we're talking about film here. If you're really serious about being a filmmaker, then you gotta, you know, dig in. Even when your parents saying like, yo, get that regular job, what you doing? You got to stay with the, you know, focus, and you'll manifest whatever you believe. You know, I believe in you.
Well, I would say your project, A Hip Hop Love Story, is a good example, right? Because Affion Crockett is so talented. And basically that film was a showcase for him to show all the different characters he can do, right? He was on social media, and not in like an influencer way. He was on there posting clips of like the best scenes in the movie, interacting with his friends, having his community like amplify the visibility of the film, right?
Exactly.
And even though Affion didn't direct that, did he? He just started and then produced it, right?
So it's not my film. My friend Wolf executive produced it.
Okay.
But I think Affion did direct it.
But
and started it.
To my point though about filmmakers having like a consistent aesthetic and like an identity, that film took his identity, and that's why I think it was a success, like a pretty successful case study.
And now he has it on his own site. You know, so he's distributing it himself. He put it through AMC, limited run through AMC, and he decided instead of going to get distribution, he did. If you're familiar with the rapper Boosie made a film for like 120,000. Claims that he made $1 million on it. He put it out himself. Now it's streaming on outlets. So of course, once you show and prove what your project can make, right? You can take it and get a better deal through one of these streaming outlets. So,
Has there ever been a project that came across your radar that was looking for financing, and they were marketing it and showcasing it, and you just felt connected to it, and then you decided to go finance it? Has that happened for you guys? And that's just for the two of you. Let me say nothing.
Yeah, I was gonna answer your other question, but this kind of ties into it. Yeah, for sure. I think I've received projects that have come in, and I've looked at it, and I've been like, the filmmaker is you know, has a track record or has a brand, or it's just something that's unique. And like I spend all of my time, like even though when I'm not auditioning, I spend my time studying platforms, studying movies. I'm always researching, and so I'm sitting at the kitchen table literally like all day, every day, just diving in. And
I'm sorry,
think-
but one moment. When she says the kitchen table, she means her company, not.
yeah, literally, that's why it's called at the kitchen
Yeah.
table.
That's why I
Eight
came up
years
with that.
at the kitchen table, like
Mhm.
14 to 16 hours a day studying this game. Yeah, there has been, because like either the script is elevated or the branding ideas in the deck or whatever it is, something is so unique. I talk to acquisition a lot, maybe it's hitting those buttons and I'm like, yeah, this is something that we need to look at seriously and queue up. But back to your original, I think the question was like the marketing of the project.
Correct.
To me, that would be, that's why these film festivals are critical, crucial, because this is where you network, this is where you get your film screened, this is where you can pick up distribution. We had 2 projects that screened here, 2 feature films. One was a closing night film, produced it and starred in it, and another film that we produced, and I also starred in that one, was like a centerpiece film, feature films. And we raised it, private equity money, both films under $250K. And the first one went on to get distribution with Netflix, and then it rolled over to, I believe, All Black, and then the other one went to Tubi, or It's on All Black, or whatever it was, it both got distribution. So I think these festivals are crucial for that.
And Netflix was acquired enough for the festival that year.
Yeah, and we got and we went straight to Netflix, and it was like right out the
From
gate.
half straight to Netflix.
Yes, all of a
Okay.
sudden we had a deal with Netflix when our sales agent was like, well, guess who wants the film? It was Netflix. And I said, you know what? I said to the team, that was PAF.
So would you consider your festival strategy also part of the marketing strategy as independent? Jelani, Jackie, anybody can answer that. Should that also be part of whatever the marketing strategy is going to be for film? Because film festivals are expensive to submit to and attend and whatnot. But should that be part of the strategy and part of the budget?
I think it's all about strategy.
Yeah, for
Period.
sure.
It's whatever city that you're going to. Like when I was going to answer your question, it's really, again, comes back to the data. I'm analytical, so I'm always kind of relying on the data. A lot of filmmakers think that they have to be the biggest in the United States or whatever. Instead of, I can only use me as an example because I own it's a black-owned streaming network. So me going to, there's a company called Freewill owned by Fox that runs all of the advertisements on Fox, on all the Fox platforms. They turned me down after I walked into the room. To answer for about the D, they turned me down. So I went to the next biggest company, it was called Publica. And before I did that, I did strategic marketing, which I tell all filmmakers to do. Because my streaming network is the next generation of film creators. That's what we showcase. We won't see big projects on there for $10, $20 million. You won't see that. You can go to the other platforms and they can bid for that. But the strategy that I did was I found every address that Publica's executives went, and I bought advertisements all around. So everywhere they went, before I had a meeting with them, they seen my company's name. So when I walked into the room, they believed that I was bigger than what I was. And I had to do that because I'm black. I just got turned down by Freewill. And I have everything. I have the titles. If you look at the platform now, it doesn't look like it's black owned. Sorry to say that. But it doesn't look like that because I have all types of content on the platform. So I tell every filmmaker now to be strategic. If you have sorry to say this, if you have an urban hood movie, go to where the hood is. Go to St. Louis. go to Ohio. There's about 300,000, 400,000 people there. Get 25,000 people from each one and make $10 from each one. That's $500,000 to go do your next project. But everybody has this big idea that, oh, I need millions of this and I need millions of that and I need to be popping over here. No, go where your market is. Go where your market is. Be strategic with your film. If your actors are from this city, like he said, go to that city. Do film festivals in that city. Buy advertisements in that city. Don't spend marketing dollars on Facebook and Instagram doing a genre. Do it for that specific zip code that you're going to be in. Even for speakers, when you're going to go do panels and stuff like that, you can run ads for where you're speaking at for your company or for what you're doing before you go into the meeting or before you go speak. So across their phone, when they're doing leisure time, you pop up in their head.
So are you all aligned that the film festival strategy needs to be part of the marketing strategy, or are you aligned on that? Okay, and that it should be in the budget
Right.
because of the, so that you have those costs. Okay, so just a little something, we have to have some takeaways for the audience, so.
I think it's because for me, like if you can shoot your project and then sell it and make a lot of profit margin if you can, then you can just gain that liquidity, and if you can finance it up front, then you can start a little bidding war. You know, that's like my kind of philosophy if it has the right elements in the project.
And I went into talking about what we're talking about. A good friend of mine, I can't remember his film, but his name is Christian Hill, and he did a docu-feature centered around music. And I believe Christian is originally from Detroit, so it was I think it's house music. I'm not sure. Are you familiar with Christian Hill? Any of you guys? Well, he put his film into festivals like about maybe 3 years ago. Did very well, right? To this day, he's still making money off of it. He distributes it himself, right? Not only that, he takes it to schools, centers, and he's profiting off of it 3 years later, every month. So he's passionate about music, first of all. So whatever the case may be, as far as your strategy is concerned, it can be a particular project, whatever you're passionate about. You can use the educational realm to make money. You can book yourself through a college tour or what have you with your particular project. There's always ways to skin that carrot.
And Jelani, every time you say skin that carrot, your films are a lot largely within the Hollywood system, and they generally have a marketing team. But as the producer, do you do some marketing on top of their marketing in case their marketing might be lacking a little bit?
All the time. I think that's part of like the value add that I provide, just because of who I am as a human being. It's a different perspective. So yes, you definitely have to double and triple check their work, and I'm in a lot of those meetings right now,
Okay.
for sure.
Okay. Before we open up to questions, can you please tell everybody how to subscribe to your streaming platform, how many subscribers you have? Give us a little
It's
bit
free.
about that.
It's free. Just download it. It's VYRE. It's a free streaming network. The only thing that does cost on there, we have pay-per-view boxing matches. So we do about 111 pay-per-view boxing matches a year around the country. So that's the only thing. It's like $19, $20.
Okay. And I'll open it up to, I was gonna ask you another question, but it would put you on the spot, and I don't wanna do it. You open? Yeah. Okay. Do you need to have an agent or manager to pitch to be on your platform like you would to talk to Jelani? You're gonna have to have an agent
No.
or manager.
No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't need to have that. No, you just need to have your stuff together.
Okay.
Come together. I lead panels like this, tell people how to actually, present and bring things to companies. We get probably 60, 70 submissions a day on the platform. Yeah, we have one.
Oh, you submit directly on the platform?
No, you can submit it through the website.
Okay.
Or you can just email programming@Vire Network, and a guy named Ryan, ask for him. He'll look over your stuff. I don't watch or read none of the stuff. There's no way I could watch 5,000-6,000 titles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We're gonna open up for questions now. Are there any questions? Right down here.
Hi, I'm Magdalena Albizu. I have a film documentary called Negrita. So I wanted to get more information of your thoughts, because most of you spoke about scripted. What about documentaries? What are your thoughts about the documentary world?
Her question is about the documentary world, since there was a lot of discussion about scripted today.
I feel as though that this is the information year. Everything's about information, so documentaries is hot. If you turn a documentary into a series, you're worth more money to me. And I'm just being real. You're worth more money in a series because that same person that will watch that first episode will watch all the other episodes. And me running commercials on one episode, now I triple that. So just think about that. But series, documentaries is really, really important. And then you can take the documentary to the next level, to a short film, to a feature film. And it gives you the data of building your own audience already that's packed into your projects.
Are you from Brooklyn? You go to Emmanuel Baptist with my aunt, Elizabeth.
I do.
Yes, you do. She told me about your doc. Let's talk after.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to Emmanuel Baptist.
Look at God.
Yeah, I know. I heard about the documentary Negrita. Yeah, it's so nice to meet you.
You too.
I can't wait to watch it.
Brooklyn in the house.
Brooklyn in the house.
I wanted to add to that documentary, what I just mentioned. I mentioned a gentleman by the name of Christian Hill. His project is a documentary, right? And also, I've done some documentaries. My last documentary I produced is called House of Cardin, centered around Pierre Cardin. And, it, in reference to features, as far as, staying on the film scenario, I would say everything that we talked about, it goes for these documentary features as well.
The only Emmy nomination I ever got was a couple years ago. I produced a doc called The Supreme Team, and Nas directed it. And it was about Supreme and those guys out of New York. And we did not make a ton of money on it. Showtime distributed it, but we did get a lot of visibility. And I think it's interesting with documentaries. A lot of the stuff that's salacious, whether it's like Tiger King or some of the killer stuff, or I don't know, that stuff tends to make a lot of money, but that's not oftentimes what real documentary filmmakers want to make. So it's a difficult space to navigate. I guess that's all I can say.
And you have two that you're working on, the Dilla doc and the...
The Dilla project is a feature.
It's
a scripted feature about his life.
Okay.
Yeah. Morgan Cooper, who created the reboot of Bel Air, is writing and directing that movie.
Oh, that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Question down here.
Yeah, again on the documentary thing. Okay, so I have a documentary series.
You want to say your name?
My name is Valerie Goodlow, and I have a documentary series. It's called Before Your Time: An Unprepared Journey. It's about gun and gang violence in Chicago. I worked on it for 7 years. And then out of that, I made a film called Love Is Not Enough to kind of bring attention to the docuseries. So it's won Best Documentary Film, Audience Awards, and all that. And I shot it, did it, everything with a budget of nothing, and trying to find somebody to even. And I also have focus groups where I've got hundreds of people who have watched the film, kind of like a urban film now that's being taken over by the police department and schools and stuff like that. And I just can't find anybody who's in the business to look at it enough to see where we can distribute it.
Her question is about a film that she's done, and she's having trouble, for those in the back who can't hear, she's having trouble getting it in front of eyeballs. So what would you guys recommend?
The best thing to do for me, get in a room. You have to immerse yourself into areas that people like us is at. That's all it is, and just speak and talk. You take pictures, and you're a camera person, you have press credentials. Get into every room that you can with those press credentials, and then just tell somebody, hey, I got a doc, I want you to check it out. People think that they can just go out and look at Google and pick up the phone and call. No, you have to be and get in the room. If you're not in the room, you're not gonna get seen or heard. So go to where you want to be distributed. Go on their LinkedIn, go on their Facebook, find out where they hang out, and you go there.
This is going to be potentially controversial. Sometimes you just got to do it and release it.
Yeah.
There are so many instances, you go to somebody's Wikipedia page and it's that's the money calling. That's the money calling.
He's waiting on it.
There it is. Look at God. God is working today. But there's so many times you read about somebody historically and people didn't discover the thing maybe when they were alive or later in life, but then people are like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. Maybe it's time to reallocate your energy to something else. And when the season for that comes back around, if it comes back around, it's come back around. But that's the thing about like creation. We can't be like, sometimes we just gotta go, like move forward. And that's where the inspiration and the beauty comes from. So I know it can be frustrating, but this system isn't set up for us either. And it does something to your dignity when you were walking around trying to beg somebody to pay attention to something that you know is incredible. Forget them. Cause like over time, like when time interrogates the work, the truth will come to light. So move forward.
What's the
Yeah, I just wanted to say if you have finished content, if it's finished and it's the post is good and all of that, and you have a screener link and you have your deck, I mean, you can just, there's so many sales agents. I mean, there's sales agents for documentaries. I have colleagues that have done documentaries and showcased them all the way over at cons and different things like that. And there are documentary sales agents that they focus on that. So just give it to one of them, let them source it and see where it goes. But there's too many platforms out here, if you have finished content, not to self-distribute and buy some ads and promote it and make your money. You said you made it for nothing. You're ahead of the game. As long as the quality is there, the production value is there, you're winning.
I know I'm the moderator, but as in the intro, I am a film festival person. Have you been submitting to film festivals?
Yeah, and this year it won 2 film festivals.
It won 2 film festivals? So it has been in front of eyes, right?
It was in Pan last year.
And,
It was in what?
Pan African last year.
Okay, so you have been in front of eyes. You want to specifically get to distribute it. So all the information they're giving you about, from what Jelani is saying, put it on YouTube. Make sure you know you as a filmmaker. Make sure that you're, creating a market whenever you go to these film festivals, as David was saying.
What's the subject again of your?
it's about gun and gang violence in Chicago. And it's really, it's a national problem. So it's really goes from the time the bullet leaves the gun into what can we do as a community to change it.
Well, you're here. Did you talk to anybody about it here before this moment?
Did I talk to anybody here?
In the festival, about your project before
Well,
this moment?
and just to say this, I don't, it doesn't really appear that this is a place for distribution. I mean, it's a good place to show your film, but I've never, in the time that I've been here and been involved, I had another film here that won the audience award, but I couldn't, I was so, well, where are the distributors? And so I didn't see, I never saw a distributor or someone that could move it any other place.
Well, that's kind of a symptom of the industry across the board, right? Like this past year at Sundance, which is supposed to be like the premier independent cinema festival, as far as like business. I guess the festival started on Thursday. The first deal wasn't until the following Wednesday. That's unheard of. So there's.
And it was 824. It wasn't even a big studio, right?
Yeah, it was. And I remember the days of sitting in a movie theater, and by the end of a movie, everyone, all the sales agents and buyers are texting on their phone or emailing, and you look up 2 hours later, and in the trades, it was a bidding war, and you can see how much the film sold for. Those days, it hasn't been like that in a little bit. So like, it's not you, it's a more macro issue.
But what I will say is what I stated when I talked about my buddy Christian Hill. You have a piece that seems very educational, so you could literally start calling up schools. Do a black college tour.
It's going through schools. It's going through schools and the police departments now. I mean, because it is kind of like a standing room only film, or even a series when we show it. But it's just trying to get it to a different level so it could be seen by more eyes than just the people of Chicago.
Okay, so as far as the schools are concerned, not just Chicago, like, you can pretty much, like, once again, my friend he's every month, since 3 years, he's making money every month off of this, right? And pretty much because of, he was passionate about his particular project, and he's taking it out to schools and centers. And this is a side scenario for him. He's making a decent amount of money. But with that, he's building, like if he wanted to do, and he's had some offers which he kind of didn't take. But, you know, this gentleman talked about data, so you're collecting your data right now. You have standing, rooms with, a standing crowd. That's great. I would love to see your film. If you can send me a link, and if I could be of help, I will be. But in reference to, I don't believe in stagnant. As far as this is what this is about, marketing. You're doing it yourself. It's your project, so you can distribute it yourself. You can take it out there yourself, and which it seems like you're already doing in Chicago. But you can take it to New York. You can take it to Philly. You can take it all around. So
Great, connection made, that's success,
I
right?
have a question for you.
Okay.
I don't know from time. What's your expectations if you do get it? Like, what do you want out of it? Like, you've been in all these festivals, you've been doing the work, you've been doing it, but what's your expectation or goal for it? Because you're saying you're looking for something, but what exactly are you looking for?
Okay, and it's really funny, we're producing it through a nonprofit organization. I have a nonprofit organization, and I'm really just wanting it to be seen because it's something that everybody needs to see in regards to gun and gang violence. And I just want to raise money for my organization to continue to do the work of helping families that are afflicted by gun and gang violence.
So y'all should talk after, right? Okay. I have a question in the back.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. One is related to the documentary, and another's about a short film. For the documentary, so I have a project. First of all, the lady that's doing the gun and gang violence, I want to talk to you after because I probably have some contacts for you as well. So I've been doing a documentary I've been following for several years, dealing with inside the criminal justice system and a wrongful conviction, but I went from being an objective documentarian, wound up with the evidence, and moved into becoming an advocate. It's coming to a conclusion. So I've been filming in between things over years in real time, and now I can finally take it out. And my question is, it's developed as a 6-part series in terms of the amount of content we have and how I have it outlined. We probably shot maybe 40%, 50% of it. And so as I'm going out and I'm pitching it, and just starting to get to that point, is it better, do you think, to just to do a partnership, find financiers, finish it myself and take it out, or try to go, like you're pitching to production companies where they're going to take it over? And I'm just trying to figure out what the wisest thing to do in terms of distribution, whether it's like going and pitching. Initially, I pitched it to BET. I pitched it to a lot of places that were interested, but we weren't ready to take it out because there was it wasn't done. The case wasn't done yet. So now it's coming to a conclusion. So advice about the smartest way to go about doing a joint venture, finding an investor, and then getting a sales agent, or pitching to networks, or pitching to production companies and making a deal like that where they'll, whatever, kind of take it, and I'll hang on to it a little bit.
Thank you for that question. Anyone can take it.
I really believe that depends on what you want your outcome to be. If you're looking to make money off of it, then you look to sell it. Then you're looking to, that's your approach, you get a partner to sell it. If you're looking to make a statement, then you may want to keep a hold of it and keep the equity and look for other different ways to go. So that just depends on what you want your result to be with the project.
Yeah, and I want to say something. I think like also knowing what people are looking for in the space, because you can create something and it may not be something that a platform or streamer wants, and then you've spent all this money and your investors you got to pay back, and I'm always concerned about the investor, right? Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, I think you got to weigh those options. If you can get some intel, that might help you. Otherwise, just shoot it and self-distribute it, and hopefully keep your budget low so that you can make your money back.
It's about $250 per episode we have a budget. I could probably go for $100,000 an episode if I had to. It just depends where it's being pitched. But I'm just wondering, is it better to try to get a distributor on before we move into official production? Because I've just been covering it up to now.
Like if you don't know if you can, it's up to you. If you think it's very marketable, put your money into it and
go out there and shop it or try to get a distribution deal for it, but you can also just try to pitch it and see if there's any interest before you start rolling.
Right.
Are you looking to get an MG when you say going to a distributor right now and the point that you are? A minimum MG is a minimum guarantee.
Yeah, I know. So, it's just so many people, when you go and you make, I want to have control of it because, you know, I want to make sure the story is told the right way, it's not exploitive. But I also know there's so many people who just go and make projects and then you're spending the next 5 years, like this one, trying to figure out, like, how do we get people to see it? So initially, you know, HBO, a lot of places were interested. They may not be anymore because that was a long time ago. And so I'm just trying to now decide the best way, the smartest way to approach it, given all that's been filmed on it. Or if it's just stupid and taking too much to try to make it, market it, distribute it, just go pitch it and get it sold.
What's the subject? What's the subject?
Well, it's a crime journal from my point of view, but it's an inside look at the criminal justice system through this one individual's crime and conviction story. So, yeah.
And you have the money to, like, say you're asking questions. What's the best way to do it? Do you have the money to
Should I
shoot
try
your?
to find an extra? I've shot about, like I said, close to half of it.
Okay.
And then I've either raised for grants or my own diamond time or whatever. Now, and I've just been putting it into a storage. You know, I haven't.
You know what I would say? Ownership is king. You know, you control your own IP. Go ahead and then finish your project. There's so many outlets out here.
I need to find an investor to do that, but yeah. Okay, or raise grants.
Yeah.
So we have investors on the stage, so maybe they can have that conversation.
Yeah.
There also might be like certain grant programs and nonprofit organizations that do have like allocations for the arts that you can tap into, because it seems like it's, you know, criminal justice related.
It's a conscious crime series, basically. Is what I mean, how I define it.
Maybe shoot a short. Maybe do it as a short or do 1 or 2 episodes.
Yeah.
And then push that out there and see what comes back from the market before you invest so much money into the project.
Good, so lots of different options and they'll be around as well. So I'm gonna take another question.
Oh, that's good.
Hi. My name's Zoe Martinson. Thank you. My name's Zoe Martinson. I have a film that's here. It premiered at Venice Biennale Film Festival and won an award there. Yeah. I had a question for actually I have 3 questions. One is like a greedy little question of like, what company do you suggest is best for target marketing? Since you talk about online target marketing, that's one of our plans for when we distribute in West Africa. Sorry, the film takes place in West Africa. It's a comedy. It's in English though. My other question is about micro-budget producing. Do you include in your budget marketing and distribution, or do you kind of already have an idea of where it's going to be distributed before you go in to making them at a micro-budget? Because ours was also a micro-budget, but like we couldn't afford to have like marketing and stuff on that budget and even make the film. And so I was kind of wondering that, and then do you have relationships with sales agents before so that there's some kind of, sorry, that's it. That's all I got.
Hey Zoe, good to see you.
Hi, Shalani.
I remember I met you when I was a CA. Yeah. Zoe's a really talented filmmaker, like really phenomenal
You're not
filmmaker.
telling me, I'm in programs.
Okay. Good to see you. There's a company, so when you make a movie, even like just the cost to, say you get into like a festival, the cost to travel your crew and host them with accommodations, it really adds up. There's a company called Joint Venture that just got started, and their whole thesis is like coming in as a partner at the final step to either like throw some money in for like marketing and distribution and P&A stuff, or festival costs or whatever, but they're like merit driven, so like they're really looking for like quality projects, and it's a smart team. I can connect you with them.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I think the second part of your question. For me, I want to talk to people. I talk to acquisition. I talk to development. I want to know what they're looking for. I'm like, hey, I'm thinking about doing blah blah blah, and they're like, oh yeah, Jack, blah blah blah. And so for me, that's kind of it. And they're like, yeah, just send us a rough screener when you're done. You don't even have to worry about the post. We'll check it out, you know, kind of thing. Or I know the title that sells the most, you know, horror and action, and my sales agents, I got a few of them. They're, you know, I know what the market value is, and with the cast and stuff, and so I know probably who would want to distribute it or where it would land first, whether it's, you know, membership based or VOD platform.
I want to say something to the audience though. I don't know, moderator, I'm not supposed to be Tony, but I'm a big proponent of building your peer network. So I know everyone wants to talk to the folks up here, and you should, but you should also be speaking to your peers. Jelani and I are both huge fans of Zoe, and you would be missing the mark if you didn't network with Zoe before you leave here today. She's amazing. I promise you that. Yeah.
There's like
Got Jack trying to get it too.
there's like world class like choreographers and stunt coordinators sitting in this room that you guys should go find in that back row with their hands up right there. Like they're the people in this room that will help you like make your thing.
Yeah.
So I'm like, to your point, you better make sure you network horizontally. And it's like nobody wants to like hang out with somebody that they had to chase, or somebody that was like kind of sunning them or ducking them. Like your tribe are the people that you meet organically on your journey. And if you're in this room, you got up this morning, you put your clothes on, you said, I'm trying to go get it. So we're all equally yoked in one way or another.
Yeah, exactly. Question right
This more of a statement kind of question. But anyway, my name is Pamela Richardson.
We can't hear you. Can you stand up? Someone's gonna pass you the mic as well. Thank you, Pam.
Pamela Richardson. I'm a filmmaker. Just finished a project called Uncle George the Music Man. It's a documentary. And it's
Congratulations.
thank you. Just finished it last month. So we're having our first screening for distributors next week in Beverly Hills. So I just wanted to put that out there. But George Daniels was like a music retailer in Chicago, speaking of Chicago. And a lot of artists came through George. So we have people like Damon John, Common is in it, Sway Calloway is the narrator, he's also in it, Lisa Ray. We have quite a few people in it. It's available. We're looking for distributors. We wanted to finish it first because we knew that we had something, and we know that George is known well worldwide. And even though he's helped a lot of people and given people a lot of careers, because everyone who came through Chicago had to stop at George's music room to pay homage, basically. So he's really well known, and he just closed the retailer in 2017. So anyway, wanted to invite you all to come to the screening. And Jacqueline, I actually sort of pitched to you before through Clyde Jones.
Clyde. It's so nice to reconnect with you.
Right, for sure. So anyway.
When is your screening?
It's on Thursday.
Here?
It's at, no, it's in Beverly Hills on Rodale Drive at a studio, a screening room. It's a very private thing, so, and as I said, we just finished last month. It looks really good. I can show you guys the trailer. You can have a link to the actual website. So again, it's available.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes.
Say the website out loud.
The website. Oh, it's at, the website is robstar.com, but the name of the movie is Uncle George the Music Man. It has its own page, but it's also gotten quite a few views on YouTube, the trailer has. And people seem to like it, and like I said, they know George, so.
Is the trailer still on YouTube?
It is.
You should tell, there's at least about 35, 50 people on here, get some more views.
Okay, again, it's Uncle George the Music Man, Uncle George : the Music Man. So check it out. be somewhere near you soon, so thank you for your time.
What time is the screening on Thursday?
It's 5 p.m. and there's a reception with wine and hors d'oeuvres and stuff. And
Yeah,
there'll be
kudos
other
to you.
distributors there, yeah. So.
Having distributors out, that's major. That's major. Congratulations
Hey, if
on
the
that.
distributors don't work out, I know I can't make it there. I have a studio with a movie theater in it downtown, and I would love to show it to some of my programming guys.
Absolutely, absolutely. So thank you very much for the time.
It's called Vire Studios. Vire Live Studios downtown.
Awesome. Do we have more questions?
I have one.
Oh, okay.
Hello, everyone. My name is Barry Van Troy. I'm a writer, director, editor. I've been doing short films for the past few years. My latest film is Spook Hunters. It's on YouTube under Tower City ENT. And you can check it out. It's a 10-minute film. I had a question for my man. Forgot your name. I'm sorry. David. You mentioned that you have a streaming platform, Vire, right? And you mentioned that we could you could submit your film straight through Vire. I've been going through Film Hub. Do you recommend Film Hub for
Yeah,
submitting films, or do you go or just submit directly through your streaming platform?
Film Hub is good. When I first started, I got 2,000 titles from Film Hub. The problem with Film Hub doesn't market you to us.
They don't.
No, they don't send the emails out of new projects and what looks good or anything that's getting downloaded a lot. They don't send none of the data out. So you still have to do the work. But Film Hub is good to a good way to get out there, and it's a good service. Those guys over there do really good. But you can submit to us. It's programming at Vire Network. It's real simple. And like I said, ask for a guy named Ryan, and you'll check it out.
Got you. Appreciate you. Thank you.
You spell Vire V-Y-R-E. V-Y-R-E.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you do just finished content or short form content? You do short form content as well?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
We do have a playlist for short films.
Okay.
It's called Shorts That Should Be Long. Yeah, so I think we did a film festival 2 years ago, and we ended up having like 300 short film submissions.
Was it online?
Yeah, it was on film. It was on through Film Freeway, and we gave the winners distribution.
That was the film festival online?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
And so yeah, we do have showcase that. Anything that's over 7 minutes is good to be on our platform, so that we can run commercials.
Question in the back.
Hello, my name is Melanie Page. I have a documentary short in this film festival, but it's on girls and women's basketball. It's a love story about basketball. And
What's the title?
Can't retire from this, sorry. So, once you start playing basketball, you can't ever stop playing basketball. And so it's nominated for Best Short Doc in this particular film festival. Purely self-funded by me. It's the pilot episode of a series of docs. So I would like to ask about how to get like the finishing funds, especially as I've been on the film festival circuit for almost a year now, gotten some really great accolades, and really great feedback and data from people through the screenings, but how can I get it finished in terms of editing? Everything is shot. I'm just sitting on it and no more money left.
How much you need?
Every episode is about $150.
So the best thing, in my opinion, female basketball is real hot right now. Maybe you need to add in some shots and just get product placement. You can send that idea over to an energy drink company, a water company, a female sports company, and they'll give you the money. But again, you have to present the data that you already have from the pilot. Yeah. That's the best. That's to keep ownership. That's what I would do.
Jelani, I saw your reaction to the 150.
150 seems pretty high.
Yeah, that's what there's animation involved. So it's a love story, and it's for the next generation of girl basketball players to know about the current WNBA players of the past.
So it's like Dear Kobe.
Correct.
And his inspiration, yeah.
Very much so.
Any suggestions on how she might be able to get it below 150 since it's her first project, or maybe not a
I mean, I don't know. I kind of flinched at that number too. I wouldn't know until like I think you'd have to actually see it and then see your whole package to understand those numbers. But just to touch on what you said, product placement and brand integration, we're doing that right now. That's huge. That'll get you some money. So yeah, I wouldn't know, but I was like,
That's all in relationships too. Relationships can cut costs.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Based off of who you know, based off of who quote you prices and everything. Some editor from HBO maybe like, yo, just give me 20 grand real quick. If I ain't got nothing right now, it just depends.
Yeah,
So there's a lot of variables in that price.
Yeah, I'd have to see the top sheet. I don't know.
So you have a short in the festival, right? Is it and you're saying it's a proof of concept for the series you want to do? How long is your short?
35 minutes.
What was the, if you don't mind me asking, what was the budget to do your short?
The short is the first episode of the rest of the series, so it was $150.
Okay.
Congratulations on having it here in the festival. I hope everyone goes.
Congratulations.
I would reframe that and call it a pilot rather than a short, because that's not the typical length of a short.
Right.
But you already said it's like a pilot, so reframe that as your pilot, and now you have your proof of concept. I would really get granular on the budget and be really discerning about what resources you need. Maybe explore the brand. That was a great idea about pulling in some brand dollars. Tap into like some athletes who might want to like broaden their fan base and their business interests. And they don't have to be women either, right? Just people who are dynamic to you, right? When you're raising money in a scenario like this, you're an asset. So you got to make sure that people want to invest in you because you're going to be driving everything. So like there's a bunch of steps to get there. It's hard to like give proper feedback without even having seen the pilot. But you shouldn't call it a short anymore. So that's 35 minutes. That's an episode.
Yeah, it's a short for film festival purposes because I need to submit in the short category. But yes, it's a pilot. Thank you.
You're welcome, and good luck with everything. One last thing I wanted to. Chaplain, I just wanted you to touch a bit about your company's relationship to horror, because I know you mentioned that. Do you have an affinity for horror, just so everyone knows?
No, what happened was I was in the action genre, and from talking and doing research and sales and looking at numbers, horror just seemed like something that you could shoot low budget, contained. You didn't necessarily have to have an elevated cast. And I could it was like the #1 title that was selling, and I could kind of get my equity investors sold on it, and I segued into that. So I have horror suspense, horror thriller, psychological horror. It's just like all these genres of horror.
Just so everyone in the room can keep that in mind. And I'm going to take the last question in the back. Do you have the mic?
Yes.
Great.
My name is Keith Moser, and I created a film feature. It's called Alien Weed, and I'm just wanting to know more about how to get my project out, to see people like you. I came here to participate in this. I'm glad I'm here. My biggest thing is I always think it's not good enough. So I could have put it out over a year ago, and I kept it. But it's a full feature film, and I, put all the actors and all that kind of stuff, paid for the whole thing, and I don't know. I just get, I don't know. I get. Should I do it now? Should I do it now? And time is going by. So. My biggest thing is probably more so, even though I had, positivity to get the project done, it's just now I need to get it done. I'm ready. So that's my biggest thing is just like more motivation is, and of course you always have some other things like some people tried to steal the project, but it didn't happen. So yeah.
It's finished?
Yes, it's finished.
It might not just be good. It might not be good. But I produced, the first movie I produced, none of y'all will ever see. But I did it, and we released it, and it's a terrible film. It's really bad. But
Spike's first film was a terrible film.
yeah, so many people's first films are terrible films.
So-
And a lot of people's fourth film is a terrible film. And that's okay. Don't be too precious about it. You did it, and that's like more than so many other people can say. So share it however best you think fit. Also, I'm a big fan of people who are honest about the result and the process and the learnings, right? Because it's not a L. You made something. You may be strapped for resources. It was your first time doing it. Of course, it was like there was some growing pains. But you get on a Q&A and you share those vulnerabilities, and now you're accessible to people, and you're fostering intimacy and community. And maybe the second one will be really, really good. And that's your story.
So let me add to that real quick.
Real quick, because we're gonna wrap up.
So what he's saying is so very true. I had the fortune of my very first feature film. I got the money from Miramax. It was garbage. So this young lady by the name of Sarah Poindexter, great director. She directed it. I put Black Ice in it, from Deaf Poets, the Rush Art Deaf Poets, and it was literally garbage. I don't know where that particular film is right now. But in stating your particular film, he stated that it may be garbage. We don't know. Is it in this festival?
No, I didn't put it in. I didn't have time to put it in the festival.
Do you think it's a good film?
Oh, it's hilarious as hell.
I would love to see your film. I would love to see your film. So we'll connect. I would love to see it. But if a screener you can send to me.
Yes.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Yeah, the best thing I could say for yourself is get out of your own way.
Yeah, exactly.
Just be real, get out of your own way. And there's a lot of filmmakers are always attached to a film, emotionally attached to a film. It may be your baby. My first magazine that I did in 97 was my baby. But you have to get unattached. You can make more. You're a filmmaker. It's not your only film you're going to make. Put it out. Let people see it, talk about it, go on to the next. Whichever one starts to kick, whichever one starts to give you more money back, whichever one starts to get you to the next steps, that's the one you feed. At the end of the day, you're a filmmaker. You're not the film, if you know what I mean.
Yes. And I do have one other project to pitch. That's it.
Well, they're not taking pictures, but that's a rule. But if you want to send your link, that's fine, and they'll be around afterwards. But this was great advice for everyone in the room. Thank you all for showing up this morning. Great round of applause for our panelists. These are folks you really get to see, so this is a real treat. I hope you understand that, and please stay around. Lots more going on.
Wait, before they go, is there any way they can reach you, find out more, or your websites or social media, whatever you want to give? If you don't want to give it, don't want to be bogged down, then you don't have to. But just in case. Nope.
I think that'll be personally, right?
You guys can
Thank you,
follow
guys.
me. I'm on the gram. It's my name, Jacqueline Fleming. If you want to follow me, and inbox me.
Same, just on Instagram, Jelani Johnson.
I'm on Instagram, but my Instagram's really whack. So
Fire. Instagram Fire.
Instagram, yeah, that's good. And I give away the email programming at Fire that y'all can just submit things and send things, whatever.
Instagram is good. Bankole3. BANKOLE3.
Thank you guys. One more round of applause for this amazing panel of marketing, distribution, and finance. We're gonna let them do one group shot. Our next panel that will be right here in this room starting at 1 o'clock.